Hey, Norah.
Yep.
What are we going to hear today?
You're going to hear someone host this podcast that is not me and it's not Jason, and she is absolutely exceptional at it.
Yeah, she was really a natural in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
Who's with us?
Dr. Stevens, right?
Helena Stevens, yes.
And Gracen Lukasek.
And you and me.
And me and you.
And what are we talking about?
We are talking about assessment in studio arts.
Oofda.
Also, childhood.
I don't know if I've told you yet. I intend to release this as a podcast episode.
Good.
And turn it in as a PAC, whatever that means.
You guys keep saying
document.
What is PAC? Almost said performance. I feel like it's a performance program assessment committee. Should I indulge just a tiny bit to give a preface or not?
Yes.
Maybe, yes.
So that's what I'm doing, but this is the confusing part, right? Because I'm kind of the host and you're kind of the host, but I'm about to yield it all, right? Introductions would be a good move, very soon.
Yes.
But how about we start with our host?
Yes. Hello to the orbit out there. I'm Dr. Helena Stevens. I'm an associate professor of clinical mental health counseling at Bethany Lutheran College. I'm a member of the program assessment committee. Program assessment is a big part of my job in counselor education, and I oddly really enjoy it. I don't know why, but there's something about mind mapping that just really intrigues me. So I see program assessment as a big mind map, starting with what is it that you say you're doing? And what are the ways in which you are doing it? And how do you know that you're doing it? And are the people receiving the intended benefits of what you are doing? And how do you know that? It's a big epistemological activity. So I'm here to learn about the art department, the people who are in the art department, but in a way that you might not be expecting, or maybe as you've gotten to know me, Jason, you are expecting me to ask the certain questions that I will. But my goal is to not ask any program assessment questions at all, because I think there's a better way to understand the phenomena that is happening in our illustrious art department.
Fascinating.
That's so
There we go.
Okay,
Wow.
Who are the other voices?
My name is Gracen Lukasek. I'm a junior at Bethany studying elementary education. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I love theater. I love the arts. I would call myself an artist, but not in the sense of I'm painting and I'm drawing. I like imagining things and performing and creating them on the stage. Yeah.
Awesome.
But we're talking about assessment within education here.
True. As a future educator, I'm really looking into like different philosophies and trying to figure out what I think or what maybe is the best way to, I guess, assess students and be around them. And yeah, I have a lot of questions and curiosity.
I love that.
Yeah.
And who's this one?
I'm Norah. I'm a double major. I'm also junior. I'm a double major in studio arts and communications. I'm a minor in English. Y'all have heard my voice before.
Familiar to the feast readers.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm Jason Jaspersen. I used to host this, but it's a mutiny.
Really, Professor Lunston is responsible for all of this. We were meeting. He was feeling overwhelmed because program assessment, he does not feel like is his area of expertise. And I would just say you just need to spend more time with it potentially. But also, I never intended for it to be an expertise. It was just something that comes with the package of my doctoral degree, and through my time with it, it turned out I had some skill in it. And again, I like the mind mapping of epistemology. So Ben...
What does it mean for him to be overwhelmed? Like, what does he have to do with anything?
I think he's still figuring that out.
He's on the committee.
He's on the committee.
That's what I'm getting at.
We have been tasked with, as I've now looked through a first report from a different department, I don't think it's an easy task, personally. Whether or not it comes natural to somebody, it was still time-consuming and takes a lot of mental work. So we were pontificating over why do we do such things in higher education, and why do we burden ourselves with things that aren't relevant to every department. My program is accredited by a national body. We have to do program assessment. It's non-negotiable. But for other departments where it's not as meaningful, why do we burden them with such onerous, annoying work? So Ben asked me, did you know that Jason has a podcast? And I said, no, honestly, I didn't know. I wasn't surprised, but I just didn't know. And he was like, we should go on the podcast and do what this arbitrary form is asking you to do. And by that, he was saying, you should go on the podcast, which I'm happy to do so. And so here we are. And what I loved about it, and what I also told Ben is, I'm not too familiar with the Lutherans' way of like vocation and strengths finder. That was not something although I grew up Lutheran, grew up with. So when I think of strengths finder and strength-based work, it's pretty simple. Use your strengths and do what kind of comes natural and what you're most efficient at. And so what I said to Ben was, let me do what I'm good at, not because I want to be particularly good at it, but I just happen to be, and you do what you're good at, and we're going to work together, and we're going to just help the cause. And maybe I'm watering it down, or maybe I'm too simplistic, but that's how it feels to me. Yeah. You do you, and I do me, and we work it out.
No, that sounds like Luther's thought on vocation. I think you have it.
Do I have it?
You have it.
I love that. And I didn't think too much about it either. Moral of the story,
Those are the best.
Don't think
That's the best thing.
So my first question is, when you think back to your childhood, not super duper early, like 3, 4, where we're not really forming permanent memories and our recollections can just be so spotty. When you think back to when you could really form connections and relationships, what did art mean to you? What did expression mean to you? What was creativity? You just think about the whole spectrum of art. As you mentioned, you might not be a painter or a sculptor. I am neither of those things either, but we find art in different ways. But what did it mean to you when you think back to your first formed memories? What was art? You as well, Professor Jaspersen.
This is going to be so good.
Thank you. I thought deeply about this.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it's self-serving too. I'm really curious to step into the minds of artists because they tend to be my most favorite people to have life conversations about.
So I'll tell you right now, in me hearing that question, the temptation is to come up with some sort of Sunday school answer, right? So we have to. I think we have to kind of allow the dead space to really think it through. Just qualifying that, and this is that kind of podcast. I had heroes in my family.
Okay.
My grandmother on my dad's side began painting late in life. She was painting clowns. Or that's what I knew back then. Those became gifts that would come to the grandchildren. So she was working through her grandchildren, painting clowns for them. Each one of them a different historic, like an actor, so it's it's like a portrait of a person in makeup. That's one example from my family. And then my grandmother on my mother's side also began painting later in life. She's Japanese and began working with sumie, traditional Japanese ink painting. And I also received this landscape painting from her, and both of these things ended up in my bedroom. So up on the bunk bed, I'm looking at these things and contemplating I know the person who made that thing. So for me, it was connected with people I love.
That's awesome. My grandmother crocheted. She tried to teach me one time when I was 8, and she abandoned that very quickly. It just didn't come natural to me.
It might be too young.
Temperament.
Yes, 100% temperament.
And maybe timing. Just because she's ready for crochet might not mean that the 8-year-old is.
My brain was not ready for it. I don't know if it's ever going to be ready for it, but it just made me think of that memory.
Yeah, you might be the stone carver.
I think so. It's an extension of love, these paintings. That's beautiful.
Okay. I cannot recall like the first time that I noticed art. But when I think about my childhood, I know that we were always playing pretend, and I was always imagining things, and we would put on shows, and we would do. I'm the oldest, and I have 3 brothers, so it's pretty bossy. And my parents, I've seen videos of myself just absolutely bossing my brothers around, and I'm like, you let me do this? Like, it's actually really, like, it's mortifying in a way that anyways.
It's a parenting win right there.
So,
less work for them to do.
That's probably true.
And you just got to be who you were, the boss.
Yeah, I was the boss. But I would orchestrate these little shows, and we'd do, like, the karate show, and we'd wear our dad's, like, big white T-shirts, and we'd kick, and we'd say, hiya, hiya. So... But that's a different type of art, I think.
It sounds like you're already judging yourself.
I am.
Which I know is really tempting because there's a lot of traditional ways in which art is explained, which is not inclusive of what can and what is art.
True. That's my answer, I would say.
You've been a productor, is that director, not a productor, a director from a young age with your family and with kind of your style for expressing art.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool.
Interesting.
Nora, what are you thinking?
Well, it was a weird question at first because I was thinking like I should have a good answer for this. Like, I'm an artist, but like genuinely I didn't notice it for the longest time. It was just like doing a math worksheet or reading something for English. Like, you do it beautifully or you like do it well. Like, because that's what you're supposed to do. So if it was like a coloring sheet or making a drawing, I would do it well, and that was good. I think the closest thing that I can think of that has remained like the strongest part of my artistic life from then until now is like I have a lot of different, like, when I was a kid and still now I'm like a very big daydreamer. Like, I daydream all the time, like quite vividly. So like when I was a kid, it was always, I had all these different stories in my head, and you know, like any like moment that we weren't doing stuff, I would just go back in and like stuff would keep happening and I would keep experiencing stuff, and it was really fun. And so it feels like whatever artistic expression I'm doing, like making art or writing something or anything like that, is always like inspired by all like these stories that are going on in my head. Like, even if it's not directly connected to whatever's happening, that is the closest, that is the earliest form of creation that I can remember me doing, is making stories up and living them and experiencing them. And then it feels like everything flows from that. So, yeah.
There's this theme that comes up for me, an interesting duality of you are stepping out, but you're also stepping in. Out of, if you're a daydreamer, you're stepping out of the world. You're going into, to be able to dissociate on command is a beautiful skill to have, to leave the world and go into your own orbit. In the clinical world, we don't always see it that way, but my positive reframe is, what a really cool skill to have where you can just disconnect. But as you are disconnecting, you are also stepping into you, the spiritual artist that you are. So that's really interesting when you think about, like, you remove yourself, but you're fully within yourself. And I think your story also connects with that of you are the bossy, sassy sister, and you're stepping into this theatrical world out of your regular world, but you're actually really just stepping into yourself.
Wow. Cool. That's a fantastic
What's your
observation.
stepping in? When did you step in? And what were you stepping out of?
Well, I thought I was going to talk about those coloring books where you just add water.
Oh.
They still make those? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm pretty sure I did those.
What is
Like you have the little paintbrush and you're painting,
you paint.
and then it appears and it'll fade, and then you can keep doing it.
No, it
No?
doesn't fade.
What is that?
It
Okay.
doesn't fade. Maybe, child of the 80s. Mom comes home with this book, and it looks like a coloring book, but there's like faint dots or stripes on it. And then you tear a page out, and you take a brush and a little cup of water, and you just add water, and it activates those little dots and lines. They're actually pigment in there. And, it looks like a painting after you've done it, because you've activated paint. You've pulled paint out and moved it around.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like instant gratification. I could crank these things out, right? I'd tear one out, slop some water, go to Mom and say, look what I painted.
Look what he did.
Right? And then go do another one. Look what I did. Right? Maybe because, like, if you give a mouse a cookie, like, she praised me once, and then I'm like, ooh, I want more of that. Well, that's easy. I can get more praise. That's what I thought I was going to say.
I made a note of that because that's something else that we'll eventually get into, this validation piece. But
Right.
what's your stepping in and stepping out?
I think I had a vivid imagination. I was also the oldest, but I'm 4 years older than my brother, so an only child for 4 years. So okay.
I can come back
No.
to it.
I was going to say something, and now I'm going to say something else.
Say something else.
First I'll say the something, and then I'll say the something else.
Okay.
I loved Spider-Man, and I loved Tarzan. Cartoons,
Okay.
right? On TV.
They have a common theme.
That's right, of swinging around and climbing stuff.
Earliest memory.
So I would climb stuff. Like I would climb the doorways, right? You put like hands
Yes.
and feet on each doorway and go up, up, up.
That was a good
It's one of
time.
my favorite things. And then swinging, I stood on the edge of my bed holding a curtain.
Oh.
And then?
And then I got my first black eye. But
Love it.
But, I wonder if that qualifies for stepping in,
Sure.
right? Believing it. Or I would play Batman and Robin. I was Batman, Dad was Robin. Poor Dad. So a lot of play acting back there. But I was going to say something else. That's not the thing I was going to say. Yes.
Yes.
I made a painting in my 30s, thinking back to being a child. Because I had children, right? And I was watching them and remembering me at times. One of the paintings is titled, I Used to Close My Eyes Near the Television. And what that's about is playing with your senses. One way that I would go within is like, push on my eyeballs. Or,
to see the constellations that come from you.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to do
or
that
just
too.
like close my eyes and then like wait to try to see something in the dark. Try to see the colors, see the shapes. Or stick your fingers in your ears, and like hear the difference, plug your ears and, just try to get it just right. Or I remember that thing when there's a tight string and you kind of pull on it and it vibrates, and I would watch it move and realize it looks like it's bigger than it is. That optical phenomenon that like, I know it's skinny, but it looks different. So I think for me, the really sort of personal going within had to do with exploring how do these things work? How do my eyes and ears work? And how does the phenomenon of the observable world work? Because some of these things don't make any sense to me.
That's really interesting. I mean, because the things you're talking about being really fascinated by are like, I mean, gateways from the inside to the outside, right? Our senses. So taste, touch, sight. So, I mean, it's the same thing you were saying. Stepping in and stepping out is this simultaneous action. That's crazy.
Yes. And what's really cool is that it's different for all of us, how we find our artistic expression. It's the older I've gotten and the more I've tried to lean into the ways in which I connect with art. Like I like jewelry making, or I like designing. The older I've gotten, the more frustrated I've been with the world and the way it defines art and categorizes art, because we're going to get into memories next. We're going to continue with core memories. A core memory, and I can't remember if I shared this with you in one of our musings after chapel. I took art my freshman year of high school because it was a requirement, and it's your basic art class where you do all the very basic things. A lot of drawing. I think we did some charcoal. We did some painting, and we were doing an activity with a wired hanger, and you had to shape it as of something, but only part of it, so that the people would have to guess what it was because they could only see half of the shape. And I am a visual person, but going from abstract to concrete is hard for my brain. I work really, like if you give me a box of blocks, I'm going to build you the coolest tower that you ever saw because I have things to start with, but to start with nothing, it's just harder for me. So I have
to say, this prompt sounds very difficult.
Thank you for validating
for that.
You just get a wire hanger and you have to do half a shape, and it was like
part of it is that wire hangers are just really difficult.
They are, aren't they? Okay, thank you. 13-year-old me wouldn't have.
It's like the ultimate piece of wire. Like it's really strong.
It is. So I did a boot because that was really all I could do.
But it was half a boot.
It was half a boot.
Oh my days!
Right? That's okay, rough. That's difficult.
The story gets better.
Oh boy!
So it's a class of like. It was a huge class. It's an art class that like 9th through 12th is taking because it's a graduation requirement. So we easily had at least like 30, 35 kids. And the teacher showed every single one of them.
That's impossible.
And she gets to mine, and we quickly figure out it's a boot. And then she says, after we're done, which was shortly after mine, because my last name was R, so, I just go down the roster. All of these were pretty cool, pretty creative, except for the boot. Out loud in front of the class. What? And I'm sitting in the front, and I was a quiet kid in general. Yeah. I'm not anymore, but so like that's a core memory of art.
Wait, any follow-up? Like,
goodness gracious.
No, she just moved on.
No rationale.
No personal connection, no personal conversation. She just said that out loud, and it was like, well, we all knew mine was the boot. It gets better. In college, I took an art class too for a college requirement. I'm halfway decent at charcoal. Everything else, it's just, I don't have the drawing skill. And I accept that. The art teacher himself.
I do not.
Thank you. Maybe I do. I don't know.
I do not accept.
I'm already doing the things that have been done to me, and that's the whole point of my lead into this. He was a terrible professor. He talked for 3 hours about nothing relative, mostly personal anecdotes that had nothing to do with what we were doing. They were not inspiring. They were not engaging. And I had a class immediately after.
We call that whistle the feast.
And we had he would keep us over time, and it would make me incredibly anxious because I try to be a very punctual person. That's a value of mine, unfortunately, is to be very punctual all the time. So I would leave when class was ending because I'm allowed to do that legally. I paid you for 3 hours, not 3.5 hours. He never really taught us how to draw, and it just so happened that I was dating an artist. My high school sweetheart, phenomenal artist, has gone on to do big, brilliant graphic design projects because he was super talented. And I'm doing my best. And then we get to our final portfolio, and he says to me, "You're not good at art. You don't know how to do art." And I said, "I'm aware of that." And I got a C in the class. But I was eager to learn all the same. He just was a terrible professor. So these are like my fundamental memories when trying to do something that I knew already challenged me. And so I'm not asking you to think of negative memories, but if you have negative memories, what are the memories that shaped your relationship and connection with art? It's taken me, that was 2005. 20 years to get to a point where I can see my doodlings as art, where I can see the abstract things that I actually end up doing as art and validate it for what it is. There was a lot of shedding of these unfortunate experiences where people didn't value the things that I could create. Because as you, Grace, were already starting to say, well, it's not really, oh, it should look like, it's not. There's a lot of those impositions already out there in the art world, and it cripples the spiritual connection that you get to have with the things that allow you to step in and step out. But I want you just to think of fundamental memories that shaped your relationship with art, whether they are good or bad. Those connections carry on with you.
Before, now it seems like my identity is so intertwined with art. But there was a time when I was the kid at Radio Shack, soldering irons and
Gosh, I love that.
capacitors and just like wasting afternoons looking around Radio Shack, looking at tools I can't afford, and just I don't know, like that guy. And I aspired to be able to do electronics. And there was a time when I was the guy who made model cars and ships and airplanes and subscribed to super nerdy magazines about model culture. Model culture. I was a model. I was in model culture. As a child, I was a child modeler. There was a time when I spent ridiculous amounts of time at the athletic shoe store, and was all about all things Nike. Had the original Just Do It gear. And then, like in that sort of swirling search, Mom bought me a comic book from Hy-Vee Grocery. It was a 4-story bound set called A Death in the Family. It's a brutal story about the death of Robin.
Oh, goodness.
As voted on by America. So the heritage of Batman and Robin, there's the original Robin.
Yes.
And then like they age him out, right? And they replace him, and people don't like him. They don't like the way that he's written. And so, anyways, it comes to a vote. The kids these days
just don't understand what literary media, what life was like back in the 80s and 90s. They just
they were voting Robin to death. It was a crazy
There's
time.
That. They were voting Robin to death. Yeah, it was like the Roman Empire. But also, what people don't understand is like getting your hands on something like that. I didn't have anything. I didn't have access to anything else like that. And there was no other way to get it. There's no Google it,
Yes.
So I had this one thing that was full of drawings, right? The story, I sort of shrug at the story as a kid. Like, I know this is probably bad, but the drawings. And I'm looking at, like, frame after frame after frame. Somebody made this. So I started copying. Somewhere in my stacks and stacks and stacks of drawings, there is a sheet where I'm copying from that comic book. I think I'm in 7th grade, and I'm hooked. I'm obsessed. So comic books were it. Key core thing that just turned it on for me. And then I came to Bethany Art Camp in 8th grade.
Okay.
And found there are adults that like this. Bill Bukowski and his cousin Pete Poplasky. Bill Bukowski.
That's a mouthful.
Pete Poplasky. Pete Poplasky had worked in the comic industry, and today continues to be acknowledged as perhaps the world expert on Zorro.
What a thing to just have.
So
I'm an expert in program evaluation, Jason. I want to be an expert in Zorro.
It's
here I am.
But there's trade-offs. Pete's life isn't, all roses.
Sure.
So that was a turning point for me. a key where I dropped electronics, I dropped model building, the sports thing just didn't hold. Though I was an athlete, and that's a different story.
Maybe it'll find its way in. But it's amazing what happens when you get access to something and the connection you make with it and what you carry forward with it. I didn't have, like my kids where they go to school, they get art from K through 12. And when they're in high school, they get to do all kinds of different art. So my son is doing 3D printing right now, and he's just pretty jazzed about that. And my daughter does kind of your traditional arts. They will paint, they will draw, they'll play with different mediums. And her two favorite things, art and PE. There is this kinesthetic connection with art.
Yeah.
It's a doing.
You can move.
No surprise that an athlete finds their way into art, or that football players, I did dance. That would be a form of art that I genuinely love. And we had football players in our ballet class because they needed to learn how to be more flexible. But there is still, I firmly believe, an artistic expression that comes through the kinesthetics of a sport that you play. I can always find a connection there.
Yeah.
So I bet I didn't have art growing up. My mom would draw, but it was more of a kind of a therapeutic thing for her to do because I don't know if I've shared this with you. You guys obviously wouldn't know. Both my parents are addicts. They have very complex mental health. So our home system was very chaotic and broken and toxic and traumatic. So my mom at times would draw, and she would write in this one book, and it's kind of like cartoonish type drawing, like children's storybook drawings. But that's the only time I would see her do art, and we didn't have art in my elementary school. So going into middle school, we had the opportunity to take an art class, and you could be, you want to talk about nerdy? I've always wanted to be a teacher, apparently, because you had the choice to be the teacher's assistant in the art class, which looking back, I find that strange that you were having students do the grading work and all of the teacher work, and I was unofficially a teacher's assistant.
In middle school?
In 7th grade. 8th grade.
Right.
I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
But I really wanted to be the TA. Like, I yearned for that because I got to sit in a special place. I still had to do all of the work, though. I really enjoyed calligraphy. The teacher was an ogre of a lady, and you did not want to get on her bad side, but we got to try a bunch of different things, and I found that to be enjoyable. Well, then the next year is when I had that 9th grade experience.
Fiasco.
Yeah. So it's just a weird kind of progression. But all that to say, it's amazing what happens when you get access to something, because you just never know what it's going to inspire for a person.
Yeah.
So comic books.
No kidding.
So ladies, what are you thinking? What memories come to mind? What shaped you?
I'm trying to recollect art in school and what I did. And not a lot is popping up. I can think of a couple like projects that we would do and that I enjoyed them. And one of them I was really, really proud of was like a googly eye one where you just got a sheet with googly eyes in like different places and then you would like draw and use your imagination and show what you saw. And I drew this queen in like this chair, and I remember it being hung outside, and I was just so happy about it. It was so fun.
I'm not surprised that you picked a queen, boss lady.
Yes.
This is meta. It's happening.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to think of school, because I have a feeling that there's something else in life that has shaped your connection and stepping into theater is not easy. Now, that I was lucky to have the opportunity to do in middle school with wonderful theater teachers. High school, it just continues to be a tragedy, is what I'm seeing. But it's not easy to step into a character that is not you, to become someone else. There's something a little strange when you can dissociate into becoming a different person and put on a very convincing display of being somebody else. It's cool, but it's also interesting at the same time. So there's got to be something else in life that you can think back to where you found yourself connecting to it more.
I read a lot of books when I was younger, and that's kind of my outlet and what I would do to get away from like all the craziness of my family, is I would just sit and read. And so I suppose there's a correlation between like the characters in the book and then acting them out.
Do you find yourself losing yourself in characters? or just like feeling so immersed in a story that when you put the book down, you're like, I'm back in the real world, but I'm still very much in that story.
Yes, I would read for very long periods of time, and then when I would be done reading, I would feel so groggy and be like, what? Like, where? Okay, I'm here. I'm in my living room. I mean, I would read, like, at the breakfast table. I would read when I went to the bathroom. Like, I would read all of the time. But it is weird because when I close a book, it all kind of disappears and it doesn't come back till I open the book again. And that's still really how it is. I have a hard time remembering things in books unless I'm inside of the book and I'm actively reading it.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I was a big reader. I was the easiest child to babysit because I would just read books the entire time. Yeah.
See, now that sounds like the connection my question is looking for. The googly-eyed queen sounds amazing too.
Oh, she was. She was.
You're stepping, it's the same theme, stepping out of the world and into the literary world and immersing yourself or joining with these characters almost in a psychological way, that when you step out, it's like, whoa, which Norah makes me think exactly of what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dissociating on cue into your artistic world. And then, and Jason, I honestly see a direct connection too of this cause and consequence requires, that's the note I made for myself. You were interested in cause and consequence. You have to pay attention to all the things that are what they're doing. They're moving, they're bending, they're shaping. My husband actually works on electronics and builds circuit boards and generators, and the precision required to solder. And you have to really focus. And I don't know how you do that if you're too distracted by what's around you. So you're still stepping into something with this very intense focus that takes you out of what is in your immediate surroundings so that you can be within the thing that you are dedicating yourself to.
I've always been able to concentrate.
That's so cool.
To throw my intention in a direction. Yeah.
But not the program assessment committee form. Sorry, it was an easy jab.
No, that was, I think, beautifully done.
That was beautiful. Yeah, but
I don't blame you.
The problem is I've got deep philosophical reservations about the premise.
And I totally fundamentally agree with all of them without even knowing them. I feel like I know them.
Philosophical, fundamentally agreeing. Like we're there.
I get it. I get it. I don't know if we'll get further into the educational theory side of things, but
that's okay.
We could be here all night if we did. Norah, do you have a memory? You've gotten to listen to my reflections into their memories. So what are you thinking?
Yeah. I have one that I think is more like, might like work better, but I also have one that I think maybe is more true.
We said we were being genuine.
Yeah, we're being genuine. So I am a middle child. I have 2 older sisters and then 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister. So like really in the middle.
Yes.
And my older sister was and is a phenomenal artist. She's amazing at it. And so when I think of like earliest memories of art or like how that became an interest, like it was not like an interest at all. I think I was interested in being like my older sisters, and Lydia was interested in art, and so she was always drawing. And so it's weird to think about like starting to draw, because I'm like, if you want to figure out what's true, you'd have to ask Lydia how she started drawing. And that's how I started drawing, because I only started drawing or like paying attention to that kind of thing because like I wanted to do what she was doing. And so I'm sure it was pretty obnoxious, but she would like finish drawings and I would look at her drawings and copy them, or I would see like she's drawing hair like this now, I need to draw like this now. And so I would keep like, I was always copying, like studying her stuff and trying to be like that. And so art was never owned that as something that I was good at, or not in like a negative way, even like not that I felt that I was bad at it. It just wasn't something that I had at all. Like,
okay.
Does that make sense? Like there weren't like these like bad feelings. Well, Lydia's 2 years older than me, and so she was always 2 years better than me. And like, so I'm never gonna catch up, like, sure, if that makes sense.
It does.
But it was like always her thing, especially in big families. It's like easier to do that. Like, oh, like Hannah's really good at Hannah's the oldest. Lydia's really good at art. Thad's really good at running. Like, it's really easy to, like, assign that. And so art was Lydia's thing, but I also did it. And so there was absolutely no ownership until, like, fairly recently. And I just, like, so I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about, like, really early memories of art because, like, none of them are bad, but none of them sound conducive to me being an artist now. If that makes sense.
It does. And there's something, if I'm being honest, a little sorrowful about that because it seems like it is you, but to get to the point of owning it is its own thing. And I'm wondering what it took for you to own it.
I don't know.
Because I'm looking at your sketch over there and that's really cool.
Thank
and
you.
I've seen you in the art halls and I see the work that's in there.
Yeah.
So it's you. But did it feel like it couldn't be you because it was somebody else's?
I think it, maybe it wasn't ever like, it couldn't be, it just like wasn't. Like, also, I'm beginning to realize now how much what other people tell me, like, really, like, that really matters, even if I don't want it to or anything. Like, someone had to tell me that I was good at art for me to believe it. And that's still quite true. Like, I'm still not really good at, like, noticing that. Or someone had to tell me that, like, you could go to school for this. You should go to school for this. Like, someone fully had to tell that to me before I was like, oh, okay. And so if people are always telling you, like, oh, you're an artist just like your sister. I'm like, yep, like, that's true. Like, but Lydia's the better artist, or Lydia was the first artist. And so I think it probably took someone telling me, like, you're good at this. You might want to consider going to school for this before it was a thing.
And I can't say that validation, going back to what you were talking about with showing your mom the paintings, I can't say that that's not needed. We're going to get into this whole childlike need for validation shortly, but I'm going to just keep pressing into you, Lydia, because I'm not satisfied yet. Because you're doing it.
This is Norah.
Norah. I just called you Lydia. Sorry. Oh,
it's okay.
I don't
mind. I really don't mind. It happens all the time.
I mind terribly. Okay, Norah.
And we don't edit.
I don't want you to edit that out. I'm not satisfied because you're doing it. You are full. You're not like, oh, I might do something for the faculty art show. I keep simmering on that idea, and then I always pull back at the last minute. You're doing it. So you're claiming it and you're stepping into it, but you're not telling me that, but you're doing it. So there's a disconnect here.
You're right. And I feel like it would be so much easier if there was some sort of negative emotion connected to, or there were different emotions connected to different points of accepting it. Does that make sense?
It does, like, but I see one very glaringly obvious to me, maybe because I'm a counselor and a therapist. You're the middle child. Finding your identity as a middle child in a large family is just hard.
Yeah.
And when your sibling has the identity and they are adorned for that identity, it makes sense that it would be hard to step into it on your own. But again, you're doing it.
Yeah.
So what is stopping you from being like, I'm just not hearing you own it.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you claim it, but yet you're doing it. So I want you to stop beating around the bush, but I can't make you do that.
Right.
Again, that's the sorrowful piece for me is like, well, you can both have the identity. You can both be amazing artists. You're both amazing artists. I know what it's like to struggle with owning the thing that you do for art because of insecurities or just not having enough to really give yourself the permission to own it. So what do you need? What's missing?
That's a really good question. I keep on thinking like, it's kind of like that validation thing again. Like, I don't need to think that I'm a good artist because like, just look at art, look at my painting or look at my drawing. But that's with another person. Like, that requires someone else to prove it to me. Does that make sense?
It does. So what do you need to be okay with yourself?
I don't know.
know. That's your question to simmer on for a little while. We're going to come back to it.
All right. It's
Make
cooking.
a note of it.
Well, I'll suggest that maybe being artist is not your identity. It's a thing you do, but you have a clear understanding of the gospel. Your identity in Christ. That might be a factor here. That you don't necessarily need to have a different label.
Explain what you're saying a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm sensing like Helena, you're trying to, get her to admit that she's good. Get her to admit that she's an artist.
It's not so much that as much as there's such neutrality in your connection to it. And yet I see the masterful work that you do. And so maybe the bias is if I was as talented as you were, I'd have so much confidence in owning it, but maybe I am talented in my own ways, but yet I still fail to also own it. So maybe I'm personalizing in that, like there's something holding you back from owning it, not so much to say I'm an artist, but your neutral position has me like, why? What? Look at what you do. And that actually leads into my child, like maybe we'll find a byway into it with this. There's something so childlike, yes.
Well, as oldest child across the table from an oldest child, Gracen, did you hear that? Did you hear the struggle of the middle child?
I did, yeah.
So call out to my brother Dan, and I have long sensed that struggle in him. Mm-hmm. That I'm, Norah, I think you're absolutely right, that it's easy to sort of pigeonhole the child as like, you're the one that does this and you're the one that does this. But as the oldest child, like you got there first, just, by chance. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's good to know that. It's good to notice and realize you want to hug that sibling,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting thinking about that because I feel like I don't often think about my brothers in terms of like, oh, their characteristics definitely are connected to what order they were born in. Mm-hmm. But I can see that. And they're still trying to figure out who they are. But yeah, I was the oldest. I was the one who did it first. I mean, it's hard to picture it from their perspective because I'm not them. But I know that the things that I did were very much like, this is a very high, exceptional standard. Like, I was so involved. I did yada, da, da, da. And that's not going to be what they do. And that's okay.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder why I try so hard. Mm-hmm. When I look back, recently I've been looking back and looking at all the stuff. Where did it all come from? There's so much production. Mm-hmm. And there's some engine in there. There's something that is driving. I don't want to take us too far off track, but I wonder if that's a first child thing.
Yeah, I wonder too. I mean,
it's really hard for me to not give in and go down the psychoanalytical rabbit hole that I would love to go down on. But in our world, we do believe that family, well, within some theoretical orientations, within mine, I do believe that family order, family constellation, all those things matter for identity development, attachment, relationships, your interpersonal style, where you are in your family system, specifically as it relates to the attachment you have with your caregivers and your siblings too, that shapes and forms you. The expectations, like I've got 3 kids and like my son is 15, my baby's a year and a half, my daughter's 8, smack in the middle. Shocker, she's the most difficult one and she's just fraught with herself all of the time. She's also my most artistically inclined one. But I look back to my parenting styles from when my firstborn, and it's so drastically different. I'm older. I think I'm more mature. I think I've gained more wisdom. So the ways in which you conceptualize your parenting with your first one, add in a couple of more, throw you smack in the middle, add in a couple of more. It's just so different from child to child. And so my son is much more independent. He's much more, like, he thrives off of autonomy. He takes his own initiative. Sometimes he's still a teenager to do things. I treated him differently. The expectations were different, and the expectations continue to grow because he is my eldest, and I expect more out of him in the end. And that's not a daily overt, here's your jobs, here's your rules, here's your responsibility, but there's a huge spiritual component to parenting. And that spiritual connection that strengthens or not, depending on your parenting style, with your babies through attachment. This is going to make me sound a little kooky, but I firmly stand by this. There is this, be it subconscious, be it invisible forming that happens when the baby is in the womb, as it spiritually connects to you, your personality, where you're at in life. And so it's no surprise that when you think of who you were, where you were at in life, and then you look at the makeup of that child, the connections that you can start to find.
You know, I read something recently about the transfer of cells between mother and child through that umbilical cord. And, you know, I think we understand clearly that the child receives, right? All the nourishment, all the growth is coming from mother, but there's a two-way street there. That blood is pumping, and some of those child cells remain in mom.
Yes, I would say I'm vastly different after each of my children, and so are they vastly different than each of the other ones. So, okay, I'm going to steer us into a different direction because we'll end up straying from the course. But it's about childhood. I have found, and I don't know if any of you feel the same, that when I talk about art, there's this childlikeness that comes out, and it wants validation, and it's insecure, and it's why I haven't put anything in the faculty art show, because
campus art show.
As a faculty in the campus art show, I'm very protective of it because there's a lot of feelings of self-worth that are connected. And so, Mommy, look at my picture. What do you think? And does it go on the fridge? And so I wish theoretically I could understand better why we feel so childlike when we are creating and expressing. I just know it to be true. And I'm wondering if you have felt the same, what has allowed you to move past the insecurities of the childlikeness so that you, even as you're still forming your identity, you're still doing it. You're still showing up and you're putting the pen to the paper. You're putting the paper, like you're doing it. What helps you to step out of the childlikeness that would hold you back for fear of rejection or retribution, or if that question makes sense?
It does make sense. I'll say, there's a premise in your question, though, that I question.
Go ahead. Yes. I haven't. There's an assumption under it, I suppose.
So where my mind goes is that I just seek that validation through the publication of the work.
Okay.
To make the work public has baked into it this sort of, Mom, look what I made. When I post it to Instagram, when I put it on the walls, when I install it on a pedestal, right? There's a reciprocal sort of feedback loop there, where there is inherent risk. Of course, that's what you're implying. You know, like,
sure.
You're asking us, how did we get over that fear? Well, because there's candy on the other end of it too.
Okay.
Right?
So the candy
There's an incentive to cross the threshold. And maybe for me, enough times I've had positive feedback.
That makes sense. If it was perpetual negative feedback, you probably would be like I am right now, afraid to show.
Turns out I'm not an electrician. You know, like I made a different choice.
Yeah.
Way back.
So incentives, knowing that there's candy on the other side. What helps you to step up onto the stage?
Yeah, I think I love acting because it takes me out of me and I am able to be someone different. Mm-hmm. And I've always told myself, well, it's not you doing that, it's your character doing that. So like, who cares what other people think? Mm-hmm. And there's still a fear in acting and putting that all out there. I think especially the practicing process is a little bit more vulnerable because it's not fully complete and you're still figuring it out. Mm-hmm. But by the time I hit the stage, there's fear that I will forget a line, but there's not fear behind the character that I am or like what I'm portraying, because that's all set in stone. And I just love being able to like transport myself into that person. Mm-hmm. And when I can fully be that person, it's so fun. It is so fun to experience things as yourself, but as a different character. The art of doing that is a little bit tricky because I can very easily be distracted. So something for me is when I am performing, I try not to look at the audience unless I'm directed to do so. Mm-hmm. Because seeing someone I know, and if I see even one hint of just like maybe they look a little grumpy, it gets to me. It
throws you off.
It takes me out of it.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I think for me, pushing past the fear is when I'm fully, like I have developed the character and I'm fully in it. I don't think there's more freedom that comes with that than fear for me. And then of course the audience, like their response at the end is like, oh yes, like that was great. I did a good job. But
the reward is greater than the risk.
True. Yeah.
You know, Gracen, the way that you described reading a book and then like switching worlds, you close the book and you realize I'm in my living room. Mm-hmm. That's my experience with acting. I recall that there's sort of this trance. You're in it, and you know you're there, but like you're doing something else right now. You're kind of somewhere else right now.
Yeah. It's a strange feeling, but it's really, it's very special.
Do you ever find yourself continuing to be the character? Like it's imprinted on you and you are still part of the personality of it?
Not usually. There definitely are parts. I do feel like there's parts of me that have certain characters that I've played. But I will say, like, right before a show happens, I will know that I am ready because I will hear my lines in conversation everywhere.
Oh,
and I will be able to pull out a line just because I heard like a little phrase. I'm like, oh, and yeah, da-da-da-da. And that's so neat. That's part of the show. And that's how I know that I start to see it in real life, I guess.
It's like when people say they start dreaming in the foreign language they're studying.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so like after the show is done, that like starts to wear off then?
Yeah, after the show is done, I guess it's the same thing as reading a book. It's done. It's pretty much...
kind of goes away.
It goes away. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Your turn.
What's the question?
Initially, it was what helps you to move past insecurities, anxieties, the childlike qualities where the need for approval and the fear of not getting it is the crippling agent. We're cognizant of that. Not everybody's going to love our stuff. And there's probably a grumpy person in the audience because grumpy people just exist.
They do.
Yeah.
And art is in the eye of the beholder sometimes too. Even when it's fabulously done, somebody will find something to grip about because we are humans after all. But you're still doing it. You're putting yourselves out there. So what helps you to step forward?
I would say for like a lot of things, I was gonna, like, I can't not do it. Like, I have to do some sort of, I was always going to make this painting. Like, I just have to. Like, I have to draw this picture. I have to make this painting. Not in, like, a task sort of way, but just of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Or this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be doing this right now. So I think there's, like, part of it that's, like, pushing from one side of, like, we're always going to do this, and you're supposed to do this. And then there's the other side of, like, I'm at a point right now where I can make it good. Does that make sense? Like, there was a time when I was not, I couldn't, like, I could work on it for hours and hours, and it might not be good. And that was, like, scary, but, like, if you keep doing it, you get better. You know, like, it just keeps
theoretically,
it just keeps getting better. And so, like, now when I think about validation, it's like, I still want it, but I get it so much from the work that I don't, it doesn't feel as important. Getting it from other people doesn't feel as important, which is weird. I really never thought it was going to be like that, because when I was younger, I really, really cared about, like, people. I really wanted praise. Like, I really, that was a really big thing, but I'm getting to the point where it existing is a form of validation, or it being what I wanted it to be. It has become validation. And I'm maybe moving away from, I like it from other people. It's not bad, but maybe I don't, like, need it as much as I used to, which is weird.
Do you have a fear when people see your art, or it doesn't matter because you're proud of what you've produced?
No, I don't really care. Like, I like people really at almost any stage. Sometimes when something is, like, not that good, for a second I'm like, someone's gonna see it and it's not that good, but there's always this, like, assurance in me that's like, but I can do it. Like, I could do it.
We would call that self-efficacy. You feel this,
oh my goodness,
calling a bit. It sounded like a calling, like I'm meant to do this. I'm supposed to do this. And you have the self-efficacy to push you through. You have it too, because you obviously have it.
Yeah.
Because you're doing all the things that you're doing. So I'm going to put a pin on that.
So Bill Bukowski used to say, if anybody asks you why make art, he said, tell them, if I don't do it, who will? If I don't do it, who will? Somebody has to do this, right? There's kind of a mission mindset there, like, we're torchbearers of a great long tradition. And that can be heavy. That can be difficult to manage. But part of what I've learned, I teach students about the ugly duckling stage. We learn to expect a thing to be unwieldy and overwhelming and ugly. That it will go through a stage. Norah, you were just saying that sometimes there's a stage where you hope people don't see it because you know it's going to get there, but it isn't there. So the ugly duckling thing, if we know that it's coming, and then we know that the only thing for it is persistence, then we can get through it and kind of consistently deliver. That's true of a project, and I think that's true of a career. So part of the job is surviving the beginning, getting through the pain of being not as good as you wish you were. Yeah.
And then you relive that experience with every new work for the most part, like, especially like the big ones. Like, at the beginning, it's so weird because I finish a painting and I'm like, this is really good, and I'm proud of it for like a little bit, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'm a good artist. Like, I did it. I did something good. And then if you don't like do something for a little bit, I don't know if this still happens to you. My guess is that it does, but I guess I don't really know. There's always, you fall back into this thing of like, I'm probably not going to be able to make something that good again. Or I don't know if I can do this. And you start a new painting and it's bad at the beginning, because it always is, almost always is. And like for a second, those like fears are very much confirmed of like, oh my goodness, that was the last good thing I'm going to do. And I can't do it again. I don't know what that was.
It's over.
Yeah. Like I lost it, whatever. I don't know what it was, but I don't have it anymore.
I heard that
the process
Dustin Hoffman says that, the great actor. He's convinced every time that he finishes a movie, he said, you know, what if that was it? I don't know if I can act anymore.
We say trust the process in our field a lot. It means a lot of things for a lot of things, and we say it ad nauseum. But I think counseling is similar in the sense of when you first meet a client and you're getting to know them, the more you try to force the process to look beautiful, it's just going to blow up in your face. Building a relationship with somebody takes time. A person is sitting across from you because they are messy in life. They're not there because they're perfect people. There's no point in that for counseling. But you have to trust the process, that if you continue to apply the steps, apply the strokes, apply the lines, apply the chisel, you're going to get there. But having the trust that you can do it. Like theoretically, one can assume, well, yes, if somebody does the steps and does the brush strokes, they'll get there. But can I do that? Can I trust myself to do the things that I've been taught to do to get there? And so you trust the process, but really you have to trust yourself in the process. But I tell the students, I think I try to tell the students, like, think of your successes, think of the wins that you have had, and remind yourself of your strengths. The strengths finder thing keeps coming back around. Because if you did it once, you can do it again. And it's cool if it looks similar, and it's cool if it looks different, because the point is you can do it. You just have to remember that you can do it. So I'm going to segue, Professor. Why education? Why be a professor?
It was an absolute accident.
Was it?
Yeah, and I've talked about this on the podcast.
I bet you have, but I don't know the answer.
So
because you were a teacher at a parochial school.
Yeah.
Prior.
17 years at MVL.
So education. You've stayed in the realm of education. Why education? Why the higher level of education?
I think there's a philosophy behind that. So there's an origin story. The origin story is I was desperate after my bachelor's degree in studio art, and it never made sense to anybody but me that I should study sculpture. Right? But I was on a mission. Right? This has to happen. So, after a semester of watering plants at Hilltop Florist, a phone call comes from Minnesota Valley Lutheran High School. Hey, we need an emergency call. We need a teacher. Would you be here for 1 year to teach art classes? And I had missed the deadline for graduate school applications, probably because of my aversion to paperwork and bureaucracy in general. There's a theme.
I have a question for you.
That goes back years and years. So I jumped, and took the job, and the 1 year call turned into 17, and frustrated me daily because this is not the plan. This is not what I'm doing. Right? I'm going to go be an artist. And so I would insist, this is part of the answer to like the volume of work. Evenings, weekends, summers, I'm being the artist. Working very hard to make that true. Maybe reach escape velocity. Maybe be good enough that I can do it. There were a couple years where I made more money as an artist than I did as a teacher. And that felt like, okay, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Like, maybe it's time. But then, I just didn't. Kicking and screaming much of the time, and I had a board member at MVL tell me, after a long phone conversation, he said, "Have you considered that maybe you've outgrown MVL?"
What an interesting question.
Yeah. A couple months later, I get a phone call from Brian Davison of Koine in the morning before lunch, and the conversation has me walking around and pacing, and he's saying, "We want you to be artist in residence for the band Koine. We'll pay you for a year. We have a year's salary set aside. A donor is funding everybody to do this business venture." In the afternoon, I get a phone call from Bill Bukowski at Bethany College saying, "We need a sculpture professor now. Can
God was like, I up your ante."
Oh, what a day.
It was a huge day, and so this is the philosophical answer. Like, I get nudges, and I pay attention to the nudges.
Because you've always paid close attention to all the little things
I
and the
think
big
so.
things.
Yeah, well, and I believe that God is there. And I believe that the angel is right next to me, I believe in the invisibles.
Amen.
And so I jumped into both at the same time. COVID slapped us all around around that time. But now I'm here. And only recently have I accepted that maybe I was a teacher all along.
Like, so recently. Like, I remember my freshman year, like, it was still up in the air about whether or not you were a teacher. Like,
it was like every day I was being eaten by piranhas.
Like, he would be like, you'd be like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here. Like, this wasn't what I wanted to do. Like, and it was kind of, I don't know, you're really good at it. You're really good at being a teacher. So it was weird to hear, but it's also been weird this year to hear, like, I think this might be what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love this. I love my students so much.
You love your faculty.
I love my faculty. I do. This isn't. No, don't laugh.
For that.
Don't laugh. They're so dear to me. Faculty,
I
faculty too. What I don't love is systems. Some of the paradigms. Right. I think a lot of us are caught in like a factory paradigm, and so for the sake of everyone, sometimes I try to change things.
You're not so different. We're not so different, you and I. And another story for another time of how I ended up here at Bethany, but it was also not intentional. And I don't believe in coincidences either. It was all God's plan. But I was ready to leave the field because I also don't like bureaucracy. I don't mind playing the administrative games I have to because, like I said, there's things administratively that I do that I don't mind. But I don't like bureaucracy. I just want to help people. And I get very frustrated when the red tape is put in front of me and I have to make a decision if I'm going to help somebody and get in trouble or play the game. And sometimes I lose and sometimes I win. But one of the questions that I asked the people who were interviewing me during lunchtime was, what are you looking for in the candidate for this position? Because I'm an outsider. I had never stepped foot on Bethany's campus until the day that I had interviewed, and I had lived in Mankato for 5 years. And I really I had to Google how to get here, and I live 1.5 miles from the school. Wow. I didn't know nothing about
That's
Bethany.
Cool.
And I can't wait to tell you all the rest of the story sometime. But the answer was, we are looking for somebody from the outside to come in, fresh ideas or whatever. And so I hold to that when I refused to play the game, that you asked for an outsider to come in. And that meant I was going to bring in my outside experience and my opinions and my thoughts and ideas. And I won't just be a good Lutheran and say, yes, sir, because you told me to do something, because you asked for me. And that's my roundabout way into Jason. You obviously are listening to what God is calling you to do. Talk about vocation, right? It's not a matter of, do you trust the process? Obviously you trust the process because you trust the Holy Spirit's guidance. You trust what God has led you into. There's something that you're doing, and maybe you know this, and maybe hearing it will be good validation. You have this artistic way about yourself of helping people find themselves, of helping people to feel good about who they are in ways that maybe they hadn't ever felt, allowed themselves to. This self-efficacy stuff that we're talking about, you have this natural ability to see something in a person and help them to feel good about that thing. That's how I feel when I talk to you. I feel like I'm a different person, but not like a different person. I'm just like, I'm being this side of me that doesn't get to be in many places. And who better to be in an education system than a person who refuses to play by the rules and does a thing that changes a person's life like that. And I have a feeling, ladies, that you feel the same way. Yeah. What's your Jason story? We were sitting in chapel and I was just talking, but I felt like I was... It's hard to put into words because it is this just internal spiritual feeling of where I just felt like I was me and I was good. And I cannot say in higher education that I feel that way very often. I know that I'm a bit of the odd duck, and I'm happy to be the odd duck. I'm here to be the odd duck, because if I'm not the odd duck, who else is going to do it, Jason? That's what I have said fundamentally throughout my career. Who else is going to share these stories of brokenness and pain and suffering? Who else is going to share the risks that they've taken when everybody else said no, and you were like, yeah, no, I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do. If I'm not here to do that, who is here to do that? But that's bigger than me. It's about what I give to others. It's about what you're giving to others. So in that moment, what you gave to me, whether intentionally or not, was peace to be who I was. And it makes me really uncomfortable sometimes too, because I'm like, this isn't normal. This is not what I feel often. I choose to mask.
I had no idea.
But now you know. And that's why I love talking to you. And why when Ben was like, we should do this podcast, I'm like, yes, because that means I get to talk to you. And that's like the greatest thing.
You said something just now that I love hearing so much. When you said, I feel like I'm me and I'm good. Mm-hmm. That is so good for me to hear. That's your experience.
That's my experience.
I love that so much.
And when I come in with ideas like, can we chisel rocks? No, but we can chisel plaster. you just find a way to let my ideas come alive. And that's just not my experience in higher education. So God has gifted you to a lot of us.
Yeah.
So
that's absolutely true.
What comes to mind, ladies?
Okay. I agree with you, but I was scared of Jason. I was very intimidated by him.
That's fair.
There are a couple types of people similar to Jason. One of them was Ben Lunston. Maybe Michael Wiekman was another one. Probably just more creative brains. Your sister scared me.
She's a therapist.
What's her name? What's her first name?
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda scared me. Because I felt like these people were really looking... They were really seeing me, and that was scary to me. And they posed a lot of questions that I didn't know the answers to. And that felt not okay. Because I like to know things, and I like to be in control of the conversation. And when I was taken out of that...
Yes, queen, we know.
Yep. And so when I was taken out of that, it was scary. And
of course.
It still is a little bit. But
yeah.
Now Jason and I have a different type of relationship. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the wisdom that just comes from you is just, it's like the perfect thing at the perfect time. Mm-hmm. And it feels very like, wow, God put this person in my life. And it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I have a lot of trust in him, and I do feel seen when I talk to you.
Beautiful. I still get a little nervous too because I'm just not used to feeling the energy that I feel when I'm in your orbit. But I work through it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to imagine myself being intimidating. I think I'm ridiculous. I think I look weird. I think I walk weird.
You don't look weird.
I think, like there's nothing from the inside, there's nothing intimidating, right? And yeah, I think I like the reason that maybe because you're seen, right? And you're not used to being seen.
Yeah.
That feels right. That's awesome.
It's a strange feeling.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, the same as you, like, extremely intimidated. Though, we've talked about this so many times. Like, the first time I met him, he always says, it looks like I was going to melt through the floor. Like, he's always, I remember you. Looked like you were going to melt through the floor or disappear. Like, very intimidated for quite a long time. I think I first met him when I was a junior in high school, and I was still intimidated by him freshman year of college for a large part of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I still haven't even shown him my art yet because I haven't shown you. I haven't shown you any of my art. I talk about it sparingly, but I haven't shown you anything.
He's gonna make sure he sees it now.
Have it. I also said that I would make you something, and I know exactly what I want to make and what it looks like, and I haven't started it because I'm putting too much pressure on myself for perfection. Because I want you to love it. That's the truth. I want you to look at it and go, "Damn,
he's gonna love
she can do that."
Guys, I'm going to melt through the floor.
He loves his faculty.
I know.
I totally do. I just love everybody.
I believe you.
Okay, yeah,
it's also very time consuming, and that's the other reason why I haven't done it. Because I recognize what I've signed myself up for, and I'm not ready to start.
Y'all are a little busy over there
in
clinical mental health counseling.
Go on.
Yeah, so terrified. But I think instead of for like the whole I was scared because it felt like I was being a different person. It felt like, and I got this with Michael Weekman as well, like they were thinking that I was a person that I'm not. So they were treating me like this person that I like, or like they would say things and it'd be like, I can pretend to be that person, but like that's not me. But like,
not yet.
Okay, yeah,
like
hold on. I'm also not like
right.
Like you guys were like in the best way. Like you guys were like, it was flattering that you thought I was that, I don't know, smart or insightful or could talk about like such beautiful and wonderful things with you guys. But I didn't feel like I was that person, even though maybe I am. And so I think instead of you guys like seeing me in a way that I could be me, it was more of like a question of like, well, would you like to be this person? Like, do you want to talk about this stuff? It was more in a belief in my ability to be like that. And I think I've talked with you about this before, and also Maida and Anna. But there are a few people who I think like gave me like the gift of believing that I'm smart enough for stuff, or like have the ability to say beautiful things or do beautiful things or think nice things. And so for me, I think that's part of what you did, which is really important for an artist. So that was really big. I don't know. Like, you guys taught me how to think a little bit, which is a really big part of life. So, yeah, that's pretty special.
You know what? So, like, the theme is coming back again of still working on it within yourself, stepping into whatever it is you end up deciding you're stepping into. As a middle child, it's very normal to get just lost. So for someone to take time to join with you without directing you, but rather leaning into you to allow you to explore is not something I think a middle child would experience enough of. Not that there's an absence of it, but sometimes there's an absence of it.
Yeah.
So to have people here who see you as one of their own and take time to pour into you so that you can be within yourself.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I do see her as one of my
amazing explanation for something that I was really struggling to
what
explain.
I do for a living.
Wow.
This is such a good episode.
So I really only got like one, maybe two more questions.
Okay, so we got another hour now.
I can't do that. My brain's tapping out. How do you know, Jason, that they have walked away with what you want them to walk away with?
And that's why we're here. That's program assessment.
Yes and no. Like, it can answer a question. There are questions in program assessment that want to understand how you're measuring.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, how do you know?
Yeah. So I knew we were going to talk about this, and I thought a little bit ahead. I thought, in an art studio, the feedback is happening constantly. It's instant. Like the easel is broadcasting. The sculpture is broadcasting. So, that's how I know. It's not a isolated assessment. It's not a quiz. It's just a life. How do I know? Well, my eyes are open. I'm looking. And I'm also tending and minding the person. How are they today? Or are they even here today? Right? And all of that is context. All of that helps understand how's it going, right? That's what assessment is. How's it going? Is there transfer happening, right? Is there transformation happening? I actually think a good deal of that happens in hallway conversation. A good deal of that happens at the lunch table.
If you were using quizzes, I would have a lot of issues.
Good. Yeah, but some, some art teachers do. Some art teachers do. And I coming in here as a professor, I really struggled to figure out how do I do this? I've done high school, right? And there was a whole different, entry threshold there to figure out how do I do this. Being a college professor meant, I don't know, it meant a leveling up that in my mind that was very intimidating. And I think I overplanned for years to the degree where I was like designing books for my notes, designing weekly plans with transitional statements and objectives. I was like overboard. I was going crazy, and it was this massive thing that I would bring into the room, almost metaphorically, like it was big. It was big in my attention too, and I learned that it absolutely destroyed the moment.
I was just going to say, I'm having a hard time connecting to that.
Yeah.
After all the notes I've taken, doesn't seem congruent with you.
Not at all. It wasn't. But I thought that it's what was appropriate or desired.
And I think you're right. In a lot of ways, it's what's expected. And I've also heard in my career a lot of, it should look like this is what it looks like. And it was very marginalizing for the individual process, which might just be different than what the norm was expected to be.
When I hear best practices, I hear curse words.
That's fair. That's fair. It's a heavily used term in our field. And the irony is the best practice is the relationship.
Correct.
Which, if I could teach people to be intuitive, I'd be making more money. I can't teach people to be intuitive. Well, I haven't figured out. I show them how I'm intuitive to give example, but I can't make them or teach them how to feel what you feel when you're next to a person. And so best practice is what saves them, so to speak, because they have to be able to navigate. It's like if learning how to trace. If you can trace, put something over the light box, and trace, then you can always draw something. And for some of our counseling students, that's what I have to teach them how to do, is always trace, because it's fail-proof, more or less, because some of them can't do.
But I disagree.
You should meet all of our students.
This is
they're all wonderful.
This is what I want to talk about.
Some have limits.
So the question is, do I belong in this system? Right? Should I leave? Because I do know that Norah is doing it. She's getting there. Mm-hmm. And somehow I'm facilitating that. I feel confident that somehow something is happening, though I can't point to it directly. And though I can't necessarily repeat that, I wouldn't repeat that because the next one isn't Norah.
Right. No, I have notes of all of this. I might argue that because you get more time with your students than I do, that maybe if I had more time, I could get some of them further along. They all end up graduating if they stick it out, and they're ready to go, whatever that looks like for them. But I get, if I'm lucky, 3 years. Realistically, most of them are 2 years. If I had more time, I think we could do more. It's just not the way our programs are designed.
Scale is an issue.
I don't like that question, do I belong?
I don't either.
Because it's not about that. It's a very philosophically heavy one. But to me, it's not about that at all, Jason. You're here, therefore you belong by association because you're here. You're affiliated with the institution. You belong, you're here. So it's not about that. It's about what are you going to do because you are here. And you are doing it, as evidenced through the whole conversation, through an individualistic yet collective approach in building relationships that cultivate students' self-efficacy towards their desired medium of art. You make people believe in themselves, which is what you should be doing. If I'm going to argue anything as an educator, it's what we should be doing because they came here to us. Shouldn't we make them feel like the most special person in the world? And that is different for every single person. It could not be a systematic approach. So you're doing it.
That's so interesting.
Now we just need to write it.
And I feel seen
on the paper.
I feel understood.
I get you.
I think you're doing it too.
Thank you.
I don't intend to be antagonistic.
I'm not antagonized. Other people choose to feel antagonized. It's a choice.
Okay.
I stand by that.
I didn't know that other people chose to feel antagonized.
That's how I see it. They may not see it that way, but at the end of the day, I say you get to choose how you feel about a situation.
Just like I don't feel like I'm intimidating. I don't feel like I'm attacking.
I don't think I choose to feel nervous, and I know where those nerves come from, so I can choose to work through them. I can choose to step forward, or I can choose not to.
You mean right now or in general?
In general.
Oh, okay.
No, right now I feel fine.
Okay.
Because I'm in the seat of control and I'm dictating this whole show.
There's a new queen.
And I felt like I knew what the answers were all along, but in facilitating this dialogue, I feel confirmed for what I have felt all along. That it's not about the products, it's about the process. And there is a product, inevitably they're doing things, but through your process with them, you're confirmed for what your goals and what the form calls them program learning outcomes. And I'll say some things, but then I want to hear from you girls. What I feel like you're learning, the learning outcome is a better sense of who you are with the medium that you choose. Whatever vocation you end up in, even if it wasn't art, you have a stronger sense of your identity within Christ, as there is that, aspect of the program. But through these relationships, through the positive affirmations, through the cultivation, add every shun buzzword I can think of. Inspiration. Affirmation.
Do another one.
I can't think of any more. Proclamation is not I think relevant. Through the guidance work, what you learn on the other side is more about you with the medium that you choose. When I have more caffeine in me, I'll think of more words to make that a little bit more eloquent, but I know that it's not about the product per se. There is a product, a part of the process, and I know that it's not about systematic procedures of this, therefore that. It's about meeting them where they're at, getting to know them, cultivating them, inspiring them, and then they walk away with the sense of, here is the art and the beauty that I bring to the world, and whatever I choose to do with that is my own. But I know what I have, and I know it is within me because somebody has seen me for it. That's what I think.
Well, thank you.
Am I wrong, though? It's just...
No, you're great.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I'm so glad there are people like you guys.
Oh,
because we're all better for it.
Yeah, we are.
So I've given a lot of words. Do you feel like that's congruent with your experiences?
Yes. Well, my perspective is a little bit interesting because I'm studying elementary education. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I'm kind of battling in my classes is the constant pressure of lesson planning, meeting standards, the things that an elementary school teacher has to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy formulating like a step-by-step, almost like a script of what I'm going to say when I'm a teacher. Like, I just want to do it. Mm-hmm. But I know that what I'm learning in my classes is important, and it's what I need to do to get a license and be a teacher. Mm-hmm. But I think it's really helpful having people who are on the other side of the spectrum, like you guys, and creative individuals who are, they're doing it, but they're doing it differently. And it's still a way to do it.
It's legit.
Yeah.
My hope is that you'll find your place where you can use your creativity. Early in my career, before I became a counselor, I was a teacher. And one of my jobs was teaching remedial math, which is always funny to me because I'm not great at math. But I was doing one-on-one with in inner city San Bernardino, California, which is not a place you want to end up in, with one of the worst performing schools in all of the state. And I was with, she was a freshman. And my style was not to make it harder than it had to be. So we did a lot of activity-based learning. And that's not something you might associate with math, but I got to do what I wanted to do. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's what formed the relationship. And somebody came up to me and said, we were in the office, and she was like, I've just never seen anybody teach like that before. Like she was giving me positive praise. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm just doing my thing, you know? So I hope you find a place where you can just do your thing. There are places out there where you can abandon the book and the script. Counseling is one of them if you want a re-career. And go in and do what you think is best.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. You're going to be so good at your job.
Oh, thanks, Norah. Norah, do you have any thoughts to add into the final rounding?
I don't know.
Well, you were asking the students whether
My reflection was congruent with their experience.
correct.
We've talked a lot about your identity development.
Yeah. No kidding. I think so.
I was going to say sorry, but I don't actually feel sorry.
No.
It's what I
don't-
do.
Yeah.
I deepen
expect no
focus.
less.
I think the big question is, you're paying tuition. You know, theoretically, you're being educated, and to a great degree by me, personally. Now, this might be an intimidating moment. I don't know. Like, I'm just learning. I might be intimidating.
No.
But you know, I think it's really interesting. You're an insider to comment on what's happening. Is learning happening, and how?
Well, yeah, I'm learning stuff.
Good answer.
Yes, I am learning things. It's also weird because I'm not actually in any art classes this semester, which makes it harder. But I have been
I
in
can
the
never
past.
tell. Like with you, I can never tell.
I'm in there a lot.
Yeah, you
I'm in the
live
room a
in
lot.
the studios though,
Yeah.
right? And that, to me, this is vital. This is a different question. I'm not in art classes. Is a totally different paradigm, because you live in the art studio. Now I'm going to talk, but I asked you to talk.
No, please. I don't have
Well,
anything.
To me, what's happening is, like, I'm invested in forming you as an artist. I don't care if you're in a class or not. I don't care about the assignment, the semester. I care about Norah. I think you know that.
I do.
Yeah. So I'm fiercely dedicated to the people around me.
Absolutely, yes. And you can tell, yeah. I mean, in classes and stuff. Yeah.
But the question remains, education.
Yeah. I think it's unlike my other classes, both because there's not that much I'm not like memorizing theories and stuff. Like I'm not it's not that kind of learning, but it's shocking to see how much stuff that I learn that I have picked up in art classes like directly applies to when I'm doing communication stuff or English stuff or anything like that. Mostly in the area of critical thinking, which is a delightful, like, liberal, artistic thing to say, that my disciplines are supporting each other and connecting. But, like, genuinely, the critical thinking and, I think, connection-making skills that I learn by making art and having critiques and just talking with you and talking with other artists, like, I think like an artist, but that applies to communications. Like thinking like an artist in any discipline makes you better at that discipline, I think probably. And so I've learned things like how to draw better and how to paint better and how to build a canvas and how to mix colors better. But like I've also learned how to think better. Like the synthesis of ideas. And I think we've talked about this before. That's why like maybe stuff like this is hard, because how do you measure how well your students are thinking? Like how do you like I've taught this student to think. How do you know that?
I don't think it's about that.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're pushing back against, is that we
Right.
need a measurement, that there needs to be a benchmark or something. So it doesn't always have to be documentable. That's not a real word. Like you're witnessing it because of your process. You know that it's happening because your eyes work and your ears work. I think as students, we have trained you throughout your educational experiences to rely on very systematic, structured benchmarks like tests and quizzes to validate. And yes, you are producing things because you're taking a class and you are an art major and you are an artist. So you're in there doing the thing like something's going to happen. But we rely too much on these antiquated notions that progress looks like, and that's A plus B equals C, and I don't think that's congruent with art.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I would argue, and this might not come out as articulate as I want it to, isn't it enough that you're just doing the thing, whether or not you know what they're doing all the time?
She's looking at me. It's an audio medium.
Jason, isn't it enough? And my parallel,
Just doing the thing. Yeah.
you're doing your thing.
You mean like
You're doing your job.
Like I'm sculpting?
No, you're doing your job with students. And it is, because here's a better example with clients. I can bring in and do all the things that I'm going to do. What they walk away with is whatever they want to walk away with. It's the same in my classes. I bring in the things that I think are important, that are congruent with my philosophy for my professional identity as an educator and what I think counselors need to know.
Yeah.
Whatever they walk away with is whatever they walk away with. My favorite processing question in group counseling is, what are you walking away with? It's almost never what I think it's going to be, but it doesn't matter because it's not up to me what you walk away with. So how do they know that you're doing something, Norah? I don't think that's the thing, because you're going to continue to do the goodness that you are doing, and whatever they take away with it.
She's looking at me again.
I'm still looking at you, Jason. Sorry.
Jason, you just said Norah, and then you.
I know I did. I'm sorry. I'm learning how to be a better facilitator. Jason, you will continue to do the good things that you are doing. You have a person-centered approach that focuses on developing the individuals that you work with, your vocation, Christ-centered, it's holistic. Whatever they walk away with is essentially God's choosing and their choosing at the end of the day. So how do they know that you're doing it? I don't think we need to burden ourselves with that question. I know the PAC form wants me to answer that question. How do you know? We're going to figure out a way to craft an answer because we have to, unfortunately. But I'm not burdened by maybe what some other disciplines have to be burdened by with tests and with essays of how do I know. I think it is simply enough to know that you have done what you were supposed to be doing, and then you leave it up to them with what they want to do.
I am not burdened.
There you go.
Like I'm confident that there is evidence. I'm confident that whatever it is, it's working.
And that's where these administrative functions make it challenging, because it can be whatever it is. In some fields, like in my field, there has to be some measurable evidence that you can do counseling skills, because I have to certify you, to go out and do it. I can't just assume that you know something, if that makes sense. But in some areas, in some disciplines, it can be whatever it is. We're going to figure out a way to word that. That's what we're going to do.
So we just began?
No, we're done.
No, but you're talking about the future. We're going to. So are you sticking with me? Is that what you're saying?
You're stuck with me.
We're going to continue working on a program assessment
I can't
report.
do it all on my own. It's not my program. I have ideas of what can go in there, but ultimately,
I don't expect you to do any of it.
Oh, I was expecting myself to do some of it.
That's a complete surprise to me. What I'm expecting...
Yeah, you're stuck with me.
What I'm expecting is that we're turning in the podcast as a report.
I don't know that we got permission completely for that.
Permission?
I'm not the chair.
Permission.
We'll have to ask Ben exactly what we're doing. My vision was we facilitated the dialogue. I have all the answers I need, and if I have to turn in the form, which I feel like we have to turn in a form, I have all the content that I presumed to have this content, but I have everything I need. So I'm good.
Zippity doo.
You're more than good. This is super duper.
Thanks for letting me take over.
Thank you
And
so
thank you,
much.
girls, for letting me press into you and ask what may have felt uncomfortable questions at time, very personal questions. This is what I do for a living, and I absolutely love it because I love getting to know people and learning more about people in the world. So thank you. Thank you, Jason.
That's Whistle the Feast, my friends.
And that concludes this episode of Whistle the Feast. We hope you enjoyed being a part of the conversation as much as we did. Whistle the Feast would not be possible without all the creative people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. And you can head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. If you have thoughts, questions, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can actually send any feedback about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. A huge shout out to the wonderful people in our Bethany community for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer Jaksyn Graham for managing the edits. And with that, I'm Norah Kratz alongside Jason Jaspersen, and we want to thank everyone who tuned into this episode of Whistle the Feast. Until next time.
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.